Can you judge a person by his her economic status? No, you cannot judge a person. If you want to judge anybody, then you have to observe him for a lot of time.
Concepts. Yeah. And these materials are there in the phone in big quantities or tiny quantities.
Tiny.
The rare ones are in tiny.
Very tiny quantities. Whether rare or anything, you can't say, oh, I need half kg of gold to make it. With half kg of gold, you can make most of the phones in the world.
See all of that. Like,
Some electrons get lost also, right?
they get lost after many usages, no? So in the first time, suppose I buy a new one, zinc in the end will still be a little bit of zinc will be left, no?
Hello, everyone. So today we're here with Amit, who is a graduate of IIT Madras from 2008 and who went on to work at the World Bank. And then after a year, took a completely different path. And since 2011, in his own words, he has been doing what he loves, which is working with children. And today he runs a very interesting community learning center called A Little Grove. So let's dive right in. So, Amit, can you tell us a little bit about what A Little Grove is about and what you're doing now?
A Little Grove, like you said, A Little Grove, initially we used to call it an alternative learning center. But, as I kept understanding more, now I call it a community learning space. We run it out of a small bungalow, Hyderabad. We have about 30 children, the youngest being 6, the oldest around 16, 17-year-old. 4 or 5 committed adults who love to spend time with children and have committed to spend time there. And also parents volunteering and coming in to do different things there. Older students who have passed out coming and spending time. We are not a school. We are not affiliated to any board. We are not registered as any organization. Children come and spend time from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. We also call it a democratic learning space. Children are encouraged to participate in making their own curriculum, in making their own timetable, in deciding things for themselves along with us.
So I think for me, that was what stood out a lot when I heard your session, which was this idea that the children must have agency in what they are learning. So can you tell us a little bit more around what that looks like practically?
So somebody had asked Tagore what is education for? How would he define education? And he said for him education meant freedom of mind. And bereft of that freedom, so I would say schools are very good training places, but can we call them educational spaces when children are not free to participate in what they are going to go about?
Right.
So at our space, because it is small and because we are not affiliated, we have that
ability to
help children feel empowered enough to participate. They have a say in, we should be doing this. Can we be spending day like this? Can we start at this time and end at this time? According to this, we have maths and arts, but I feel like, just working on painting today. And so they together go about it.
So if I'm a student there and I feel like, I feel like painting today. So then what happens? I come to you, I'm like, Amit Anna, can I just paint today? Is that okay?
Yes. And then we talk about it. And unless there is something more pressing, that you have an exam tomorrow that you have to appear for, or something that I feel that, it might not really be good for you to spend the whole day painting, and most probability, be painting the whole day.
Lovely. Thanks. And I think a lot of the time when I've been speaking with you or hearing you speak, I keep hearing the word about healing. I mean, there are things that you speak about, spaces for healing. So can you just elaborate a little bit more on where that philosophy comes from, what you actually talk about? You speak of healing, you speak of love, and these are not usually words that come in the context of education. So while they should.
many people, and including one person that I recall, Aaron Farwell. He had said that learning is like breathing; it comes very naturally to us, and no we are made like that. We
Right.
learn. Carl Sagan had also said something very interesting. He says if you go to a kindergarten class and you interact with children, you see all kinds of curious questions coming out about life, about dreams. They'll ask you about why is the grass green, why do stars twinkle, why is the moon shining, and stuff like that. And then you go to a 12th grade school, and somewhere
You lose that.
spark has gone, that curiosity has died. So he says something terrible has happened in between. But what brings down that curiosity? That I think children suffer with many different things, no? A level of stress that they go through, and healing, I feel, is a very important part. Once or happiness, a happy being. If a child is happy, if a child is at peace, then he or she will automatically, like a sponge, try
Engage.
to absorb whatever is around, whatever he or she is curious about. If there is something that saddens a child, there is something that is running in her mind, then she'll not have that space to do that. Oftentimes, we have children coming at our space where the parents would complain that, was doing well, but lately, last 2-3 years, has stopped doing well in school, and the grades are going down. He doesn't want to come out of his room. And at any time we try to interact, there is this burst of anger or irritation. And so, child is actually going through something. He's suffering. He because of whatever reasons. There is something that he or she wanted to do, but ends up spending most of the day doing something else, being judged. So that child.
That you're saying that causes conflict and stress within them.
Yes. So I think in all those cases, healing is so much more important, and the other aspect of healing is for us. Like I feel I get healed when I go to center every time and spend time with children. So we help them heal and they help us heal.
And how does, when you look at the formal education system or the formal schooling system, right? Where do you think that maybe falls short in terms of giving the space to heal, giving the space to be happy? And of all the systems you have seen, what would be a system that you think is closest or maybe somewhere doing some things right?
See, I think for me, at the core of everything is relationship. What kind of relationship you have formed with the child. Know that a child is going to trust you. Does he see you as a friend? Does he see you as someone that he can go up to, that he really loves? You love the child. At the core of this is relationship. Is there a space for that relationship to happen? In a school where there are schools, I think, have been doing a wonderful job in many aspects. But one thing where they fall short is this huge numbers that we have today. And there are thousands of children in one school, 40, 50 children in a class. Where is the space for a teacher-student relationship get formed? Maybe that is something that we need to think about and work on. Still, I see there are teachers who, despite these difficulties, are able to go and I remember 2 or 3 of my teachers from school who, we were able to form that bond. But then I think those not many are able to do that.
My personal point of view is I think everyone does strive, or many do strive, and I have seen wonderful examples of teachers doing it. But perhaps maybe where where I would also maybe just translate that maybe is the system, whether it is supportive and encouraging and focused on building that
Yes.
and not leaving it to perhaps individual initiative
Yes.
where it might come.
Yes. Yes. So I think both these aspects. One, for me, is the numbers, and I mean, for example, one very simple example is, so if I have 6 or 7 people in my class, and then there is a girl who enters and she comes late, and she
Right.
comes late again and again. But there is a space for me, and then the another person comes late, a space to actually talk. What happened?
Right.
What happened at home? Oh, and then time to talk about, is everything all right? Is your mother doing okay? But when there are so many children,
After a
then
point,
it
you have
become-
to.
After a point, yeah, it might become tiring for some people. And the second point that you raised is also very important. That where is the space for teachers to take their own initiative?
Right.
Teachers will say, I also want to do this. I am also interested in, but then I have to cover all this.
The syllabus
to
needs to
cover
be
all-
completed.
Yes.
Nice. So one of the systems that I was thinking of the other day is when I was hearing you speak is the Montessori school system. What's the? I mean, is that also about children engaging in play, giving them agency? Would you have a point of view on that?
See, Maria Montessori did talk about kind of similar things of giving agency to children,
Right.
of creating a certain environment. Montessori has a certain environment that is created for children, and then giving them freedom to explore certain things under guidance of adults. So
Right.
in a way, her philosophy touches this aspect.
Right.
The same thing that Tagore talked about, that it's very important that children are given that space to think for themselves, to choose things for themselves,
Right.
and have that space to discuss with adults.
So I know that when you went almost on a journey of exploration and searching, when you left the World Bank, and then I think there were about 2 years where you were traveling and volunteering at different places, different alternative schools to kind of find your answer to what works, what doesn't work. And after that, also, I'm sure you're in touch with other spaces like yours or different from yours. What are some spaces that you think people should know about? Some things that have inspired you? Some other examples of fascinating case studies like I find yours?
There is one space I visited in Gujarat, near in village Deduki village.
Okay.
It was quite an interesting space. In a village, I forget the name. There is this person in that village who has been running a similar kind of space where children come, they together learn, they together within their curriculum, they have designed things in such a way that taking part in village activities is involved.
Nice.
Piece of the village, trying to understand what is going on and solving certain issues of the village is part of the thing. It's quite interesting. And then also, they prepare for their 10th and take their exam just as in our case. When they're 13, 14, 15-year-old, they'll register for their exams for class 10th and 12th through NIOS open schooling
Got it.
and take their exams.
So that happens at the Little Grove. At the Little Grove. Okay. So so they don't go through the formal schooling mechanism, but they still do manage to pass, or they engage and attend the 10th. Hey, okay. Right. And there is no, again, you've got 30 children of various age groups. There is no class division that happens.
No, there is no class division. It's see, because each child, if the child is 7-year-old, then we start working with the child where he or she. If a 7-year-old child has come to our space, then we start working from where she is. So a 7-year-old child will come and say that we'll talk to her, and she'll say, I'm interested in this. I want to explore maths. I want to explore I mean, initially, maybe she'll not say, I want to explore
Right.
that, but I'm interested in learning embroidery. I want to do art. I want to do gardening and things. And that becomes her, how she would spend the day at Little Grove. She'll spend doing most of that. And then she'll see her friends. They are going and attending somebody is attending maths class. Somebody is also going and taking part in this thing. And she would also want to then go ahead. It would excite her that, oh, can I also come to this thing? But we'll start from where the child is. When she comes in maths class, we'll see where she is. Now she could be somebody who has already understood fractions.
Right.
So she is somebody who's still struggling with arithmetic but is keen to learn. So the in which class she is becomes kind
Irrelevant.
of irrelevant, and we basically have to start from where she is, and we start.
Lovely.
And she
Meet the child where they are.
might be doing something in mathematics, but maybe at a completely different level in English,
Right.
completely different level in arts where she is exploring, or in sciences, whatever she is interested in. Wherever she is, we are taking it there.
Lovely.
So different subjects, she might be in different class.
Lovely. And I know you've recently started a new initiative called Moonlit Hamlets. Can you tell us more about it?
Moonlit Hamlets, yes.
I love the name, by the way.
This so I've been working. These children come from 9 to 3, and many parents have been visiting our space, but a lot of parents say that what you are doing is wonderful, but it's a it's a very difficult step for us to take our children out of schooling system and to bring them to your space where it's not a very easy thing for us to do, where then children will have no exams, and the first exam that they are going to take is in class 10th, and so there is this
Internal conflict. Yeah.
internal conflict that it seems very good, and in many cases what happens is one of the parents will be convinced, but the other parent will be conflicted.
Right.
Both parents are convinced.
And it's a big decision, I
Big
guess, to go
decision,
against
and
the flow.
relatives will be, there's a lot of pressure also
Yeah.
in the society that. But a lot of parents were coming, and then the only children that we are able to work with is about 25 to 30 children. So this is so I thought we'll work in the evenings also. Children who are going to school for various reasons. So Moonlit Hamlets, we thought we'll start from 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening and run it till 9 or 10 at night. One of the things was there are children who are not able to go to school
Right.
because they have to work to support their families.
Right.
Children and young adults who are not able. So what do but they want to write it, and they want to take their 12. They want a little bit of help in English or understanding computers, and working on that can really help them jump from one level to another level. So I thought this would be a nice place. A lot of people can come, and who are working can come at night with a little help. And also enjoy the environment. I mean, again, it will be like a community space. The other reason is that most children, they'll go to school, they'll come back at 3 o'clock, and then parents will put them for this class and that class, and they'll end up going for tuitions, and are under a lot of stress. But there are parents who are looking for some space where children can go and engage themselves, not just remain at home if parents don't have time, because then they will be hooked on to either games or smartphones and
Right.
things like that. But they are looking for some nice space, and I thought Moonlit Hamlets could set an example for such spaces where children are coming, and now you can come for an hour, you can come for 2 hours, whatever time you are interested in. You are worried about your homework today. Come, let's sit and work on it.
Lovely.
Don't feel stressed. You are not understanding this concept. We'll explain. we'll help you navigate.
Right.
We'll try to reduce your stress. Basic idea is um, help you lead a happy life. I mean, as
Right.
adults, there is already so much of stress, pain, and suffering. As children, no, if in whatever way we can help bring a smile to their face.
Lovely.
So do that. Today, I don't feel like studying. We'll do some music. We'll do some
Right.
music today. We'll sing songs. Let's watch something. Let's listen to a story. Let's embroider something for a bit.
Mm.
So the idea is that can we create spaces like that, and the space will also be open not just for children but for parents who want
Parents.
to come. They want to sit and read in the library.
Oh, how lovely. Okay. So, can anyone in Hyderabad or in that area, I mean, do you have an admission criteria or can anyone just come and it's a pay as you wish?
No, anyone can come. It's the place is open to all. So we have had children also from facing different behavioral issues who have come, and the only criteria is we ask the child, we tell the parents, let the child come for 2 weeks,
Mm.
2-3 weeks. You also come along if you are interested. Spend 2-3 weeks because it's a new space. It's unlike any school. It's not something that is a usual thing. You have not seen it. So whatever we talk about or whatever we speak is not going to bring you a clear picture. You come and spend 2-3 weeks there.
Right.
Let your child come and spend, and then talk to your child and see, does she like the place? Is she enjoying the place? And we'll also see, are we able to work? Will we be able to contribute positively to a child or not?
Right.
In a lot of cases, we don't have that doubt.
Right.
But in some cases, we do have. If a child with a certain level of autism or this would come, then we would say that let the child come, and we'll also see our capacity, because it's a friendly, nice community learning space, but we are not trained. We are not professionally trained to be with children with
Right.
certain.
To provide the care that you think that they require.
So then, come, let's spend 2-3 weeks. We'll also come to know that, how our relationship. Till now, it's been fine. I don't think there has been a case where we had to tell that, no, we'll not be able to
Lovely.
work with this kid or something.
So here's a question that somebody had asked you. I overheard that conversation and I found that very powerful. So I think the question is there even structure? So when a lot of what you describe sounds like you let the child do whatever they want. But is that really how it is? And, I remember you talking about what care is and what it isn't. So if you could just share that again, I found that very powerful.
Actually, somehow, whenever we talk about this space and when this word freedom comes, then automatically it is understood as letting the child do whatever the child wants to do. But it is not like that.
Right.
I mean, it's very different from that. Letting the child, if you child is going to put his hand in the fire, love and freedom is not that you let the child put
Right.
her hand in the fire and let her experience. Instinctively you are going to go and push the child away.
Right.
So you are going to intervene. You are going to. The idea is that the idea is that you are also going to let the child participate. You are also going to give her a listening space when you are deciding something. It's not just going to be a one-sided game where you have decided everything for the child and child
Right.
is a mere consumer of whatever has been decided
Right.
by you. But we are co-creating things. So you also have an autonomy. You also have a say in things, and the child also has a say in her life, and in your life too. A child has a say.
Lovely.
So a bit like that we are working together. A lot of times we think that we are actually caring for the child, but we are operating out of our own fears, out of our own anxieties. We are not able to see that that we are operating from that space. It's okay to operate from that space. If we are fearful and we are anxious, then we will be operating from that space. But I think it's important for us to recognize that we are operating right now from that space. Having a delusion that we are operating from a space of love and not recognizing that we are in the space of fear and anxiety, that I think is we should be able to see from where we are intervening. And then I think we'll be able to take corrective measures. We'll be able to interact with the child better. For example, if a child is anxious about a certain exam and we are anxious because we are quite worried about child's future, if we recognize from the space where we are coming from, and if we say that, if we recognize that that's
where we're coming
we'll
from.
operate a little differently. We'll talk to the child. We'll try to understand what is happening. Why are you afraid? It's okay. You, and if we are able to understand her better, we'll be able to act better. We'll be able to see that I think it's better to give her a break right now. She probably needs that space. And it's fine. Let her take a break. How does it matter? And let her rejuvenate, let her heal herself, and then we'll try again after some time if it is necessary, or we'll try to find a different route together.
Got it. If you had 3 wishes, if a genie appeared and gave you 3 wishes, what would you wish for the world or for society?
The first thing that I would wish for is that no child should suffer. That I think would be, especially seeing the current scenario. For last few years, I have been I just started seeing it. It's that a lot of young children, 2-year-old, 3-year-olds, they get certain diseases, and then it's difficult for them to survive. And lately, with the wars and all that, so I mean, there is that we all there is a lot of pain and suffering, but this kind of pain and suffering is very difficult to deal with, where children are dying because of us, and because of a lot of things that we are doing. I would ask that genie to that whatever happens, let children not suffer. Let them play. Let them have a life till a certain age where they're finding lots of love around, where they're smiling and happily playing. I think most of my wishes would be circling around that only. I would ask people, would ask him that people should find that love within. We should take care of things around us. Yes.
There is a lot that you have learned in this journey. And I know the one video that I watched, thanks to you, eventually has shaped a lot of my thinking and induced a lot of new thoughts and new ways of thinking, which is Schooling the World, which I think is available on YouTube. So,
Yes.
what else would you, again, this is partly for me, partly for those who are listening, what other resources would you recommend, or what other readings or case studies or videos would you recommend which you think will expand or shift our way of thinking?
I think Schooling the World is one very good example. Then I think there are a lot of resources. I mean, once you start going into it, once you read 1 or 2 books, then you will start exploring.
Stumbling across, yeah.
It's you'll follow your own path. You'll end up learning a lot of things. But I think for me, the most important person that I learned from is the child, because every child is so different. We form our own conceptions and we form our own beliefs, and then comes a child who breaks them. I had formed, and I would tell everybody when I was entering that why are we teaching ABCD and all that to 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds? I mean, for a child, the world is not that boring. For a child, he wants to explore, she wants to go play with the mud, she wants to jump on the, she is constantly learning.
Right.
She wants to jump on the couch, she wants to go around the round pillar to check the shape, she wants to do so many things. And then there are colors, there are paints and things, and child would not be interested in numbers and in alphabets and things like that. And let there be a time, 6, 7 year old, when the child becomes interested, then let's introduce, and then the child will be fascinated with the stories that you have been telling and would want to read the stories for herself. And so she would say, no, I want to learn how to read. And there have been cases at a Little Grove where this has happened, where till 7 year old, the child did not know how to read, and then was fascinated and wanted to learn, because she said that I want to read these stories myself whenever I want to. So I want to learn how to read. And then this learning of reading happened
The intent.
within a few months. It happened just the way a child learns how to speak. It happened just like that. So I had that thing, and then comes a child to our space who's 4.5, 5 year old, and I tell him this, and I see him going to library, going and picking up books, and I'm like, what is happening? And so he challenges
Right.
whatever beliefs, however strong things. A child comes and teaches you something new. So for me, each child is something that I learn from, and I think it's important for all of us to see that. That we would have had 10, 20, 30 years of experience, but then another child comes, so we have to sit down with her and we have to understand her. She is another enigma in herself.
And so, maybe as closing thoughts, so where do we go from here? I think a Little Grove, and now you've added on the Moonlit Hamlets. But are you, is this what is the way forward for you and the organization or the community learning center?
So for me, for me, the dream is that if this can reach to as many children as possible. But like I said, a Little Grove, if it grows more than 30, 40, 50 children, it will start losing its essence.
Right.
It will no longer remain a community space. It will start becoming an organization, and we'll have to change it. So there is a constraint to it. So I have a dream that many such small spaces sprout. Many people start these little spaces in their neighborhood, in their community. Not much has happened in that regard. In the last 10, 12 years that I have been part of it, there have been young people who have been visiting and who have said that we would also want to do something like this in our space. There have been people who have tried, and there have been few people who have also tried and are sticking to it and are trying to, and they have started their own learning spaces for children and are doing a wonderful job. So I think more people can come, more people can start spaces there in their own communities which have their own flavor, which are not like a Little Grove, maybe different, something different. A child goes to a toy shop and sees, I want this aeroplane, I want that kind of toy. A similar thing in educational space. No, a child goes and says, I like this kind of space. This is better. I think I'll enjoy myself here. Today, schooling has become just synonymous with education. So it's all a child can, and most of the schools are structured similarly. The structure, there might be
Minor variations.
there,
Right.
CBSE, ICSE, IGCSE, international, national, and that. But more or less the structure is the same. But a different flavor, something else. Less autonomy, more autonomy. Less structure, and this a variety of different spaces. I think we human beings are very creative. We can see through the work of arts, music, that we have been able to. We have immense capacity. I think we should put our minds together and do a little bit more justice to our children. Create a better, happier world for them. That would be that I think for me would be the way forward. I would keep dreaming about.
Thank you so much, Amit. Thank you for your time and thank you for all these thoughts that you have shared. I also thank you, everyone who's been watching or listening to this. And I hope you learned something new. And I will definitely be visiting Amit when I go to Hyderabad next. And
Yes,
yeah,
and please, all of you are also welcome to come and visit whenever you will.
it is a space for all.
Yes,
Thank you again.
thank you.